Welcome to another edition of That's Entertainment with me, Chris Brown. And
Me, Mike Nichols.
today on the show, we'll be breaking down that age old question as to whether you should judge a book by its cover. With the
You
new
should.
Minecraft, with the new Minecraft movie being a massive success financially, but universally panned when the trailer dropped last year, are moviegoers too quick to judge based on trailers? Then we'll be discussing TV networks giving the old heave-ho to some shows and renewing others, and talking about any shows that were canceled too soon or gone on too long. Then we promised last episode we'll be breaking down the JUNOs, the highs, the lows, and Anne Murray being all Anne Murray like. Then we will wrap up with a quick spotlight on what's coming up on Broadway and if there's any shows that Mike is looking to take in this year. The entertainment world has been busy this month. Mike, are you ready to discuss these topics?
I've been born ready.
You look like you've been born ready. For those who are watching this, we woke up really early to record this on Easter weekend, so it's going to be a fun, exciting experience. So let's dive in. Mike, should you judge a book by its cover? Now, we've all been guilty of it, scrolling past a movie because the trailer just didn't hit, or writing something off because first impressions didn't just land. But what happens when that snap judgment is wrong? Now, enter the Minecraft movie. Yeah, I remember the trailer and was not a fan of it. Something about it being a mix of live action and CGI just didn't sit well with me. Then you have Jack Black there, and that just confused me. When it dropped
I
last year,
love him.
you can love him all you want. I just was a little concerned. Now, when the trailer dropped last year, the internet practically roasted it alive. Memes, criticism, low expectations across the board. But fast forward to today, and despite all that early backlash, the film is an absolute box office monster. So, Mike, I've got to ask a quick question. Are audiences too quick to judge a movie based on its trailer, or are we letting first impressions kill our curiosity of the movie industry today?
No, I think we're right to judge things on first watch. And I think, especially with this, the reason it's doing well is it's a meme. Kids, young kids in their teens are going to these movie theaters. And when this one specific part happens in a movie, they're buying all this popcorn and candy so they can throw it around and trash a movie theater. And scream and shout and ruin the experience for other people. That's why it's doing well. It's because it's been turned into a meme.
Really? I've never
Yes,
seen this. Is this like on TikTok or is this on
it's
something that
all
I
over.
know? Go ahead.
No, it's been in the news, it's been all over. It's this one specific part, I don't even know, but people are screaming, carrying on, throwing popcorn around. Now they're doing announcements at the beginning of the movie, either the projector, the staff, there's a clip at the beginning, don't trash the movies. They've had to add in that disclaimer. Jack Black had to go to one of the theaters and he gave a speech of like, hi, we all are super excited about this part, but like, let's not ruin the theater and ruin the experience for people. And so like, that's why it's doing well. It's because folks have turned it into a meme, have turned a meme movie into a meme where they can cause destruction, and people love causing destruction in America.
So I'm not sure if it's happening in Canada, and I'll be the first to admit that I have not seen the movie yet, but I know that it was roasted when the trailer came out because I remember the reaction of even Black playing Steve, the main character in Minecraft. And it seems, and this is just me, is this a PR win for the movie? Because if you are a meme in 2025 and people are seeing your movie just for one instance or one moment, even if it is happening in the theater, not happening on screen, it seems like that would be a win in my books, wouldn't it?
Oh, 100%. It's as much as they're like, no, stop, don't, oh, no, let's not do that. They're loving it. They're making so much money on a movie that was going to bomb, a movie that was going to make $0 and 0 cent. Well, not zero, but like
Do
it wasn't going to do well.
do you agree with that though? Because I think it would have still done well, even if it didn't have this, as you say, the meme pushing it back. Because Minecraft is a quite a large movie, and it's a huge sort of video game that people know it, love it, experience it, but people just didn't love the trailer. Do you truly believe that even if this moment in the film, and I air quote that for a second, that people wouldn't have gone to see it?
Yeah. I
Why?
think if it didn't have, I think that it, a lot of their fan base, a lot of the demographics, people don't like to go to movie theaters. People don't like to spend $20 on a ticket and then buy a drink there for $15, and then you buy a popcorn for $15, and then God forbid you want cookies or a snack or something, and there's another fifth. Like it's like $100 a person to go to the movie theater if you're going to be like doing the whole experience. And that's something people don't want to do for a movie that the trailers look bad or the trailers giving away all the big parts. And even with like a big IP, because like the Marvel movies aren't necessarily doing as well as they used to. The Mario movie didn't. Like there's tons of like big franchise movies, especially that are geared towards kids, that just haven't been doing well. I think with this, someone went, saw it, said that this specific thing, which I've been doing research on it to because I don't know Minecraft. I don't play. I'm too old to understand that. That's for the young folk. God, I sound like I'm 100. But like this specific event happens and a chicken jockey, a zombie jock. I don't know. I don't know. I literally don't know. Someone went and saw it, put it on the internet, was like, "Yo, dude, this super rare thing that happens in the game is in the movie, and it's such a cool scene." And then people went to the theater and they're like, "Oh, could be really fun. Let's all cheer like idiots and throw things around." And
Well,
I don't know. Like it's just like let the kids have fun, but like let's not just destroy things.
so going back to the original question, though, are we becoming too quick to judge? Because this meme didn't happen until the movie dropped, because no one knew what this part in this movie was going to take place until they saw the movie. Um, are we becoming too quick to judge at the end of the day? Because when I reached out to some people that I talk to on a regular basis about some of the movies that they've been too quick to judge about, because I wanted to get a reaction, because I was trying to look at my bias, and I said, okay, maybe there are a few movies that I was too quick to judge on, but I asked people for their opinions, and what I got back was a really wide range of movies that people said that they watched the trailer, they didn't want to watch it, but then they were forced into watching it, the actual movie, and they loved it. So I had like The Edge of Tomorrow, which I believe was Emily Blunt and Tom Cruise, where they saw the trailer, they didn't like it, and then they actually saw the movie and they actually did like it. John Wick, one person who was a family member said he saw the trailer, he said I wasn't going to watch it, but then Keanu Reeves like really sold it on me because he knew Keanu Reeves as the Matrix and Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, so it just didn't sit well with him. The one that I found very interesting was a female from here in Alberta. One of my friends up north said that her daughter saw the Little Mermaid, the new Little Mermaid live action remake, and they said she wasn't going to go see it. The kid didn't want to see it, and then they saw it in on DVD. They got it and they watched it and they loved it. They loved the movie because it was that you judged a book by the cover and people were saying bad things about it, and then it turned out it was actually really good. For you, was there a movie that you looked at and you said the trailer sucked, but I came around and I watched it and it actually was really good?
No.
You
I'm
you
I'm
try
sorry.
you
I like not that I can think of like so distinctly. Like a lot of times time is precious. Like money is precious. Like I really try to not, especially with film. Like if we're talking theater, there is a very specific instance that I
Okay,
would
so
say.
let's go there then. So, because this just doesn't happen in the trailers, it happens with books as well. Because I've picked up books and I
Yes.
go, I'm never going to read this book. And that's what the whole "don't judge a book by its cover" comes from. I picked up a book, I've picked up a CD, and I say, or an album, and I go, well, like I wouldn't listen to this. And then you listen to it, like, where has this been all my life? For you, what was that moment in the theater?
The Notebook. I was not gonna go see this musical. I had no interest. I thought the idea was awful. I was one of the biggest voices saying like this is not it. Like we should not be doing this. What's the point? What's the point? So
Ba-
I
Based on your reaction from the movie, or just based on the reaction that they're turning it into a Broadway show?
I saw the movie. The movie was fine. People really liked the book, really liked the movie. It didn't do anything for me. And so I saw they're making the musical, and I went, why are we doing that? Let's get some original ideas. Da 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 da. I did the whole thing that everybody does every time they announce an adaptation because why? We just all are haters. We all think we're critics. Um, Me most of
I
all.
was going to say, we literally are doing a show about being critics of things that are going on in the entertainment. So, of course, we're going
Yeah.
to be critics. Continue.
But we were in the city. We had a night where the original plan, the show we were going to see, we just couldn't get tickets for, or at least not for less than $300. And I'm not doing that. I don't have that kind of money to go drop $300 to see some show. So we went and saw The Notebook because tickets were like $80 a pop. It was life changing. It was incredible. It was probably one of the best shows I have seen since 2016 when I saw Cynthia Erivo in The Color Purple on Broadway. I've not sobbed my way through a musical in quite some time. My husband, who does not cry, he cried. At intermission, we looked at each other and I was like, "You hate this?" He goes, "No, the opposite. I think this is the most well-directed, well-written show I've ever seen in my entire time of living." And I'm like, that's not my feeling, but I agree. It's brilliant. And it's one of my favorites in maybe 10 plus years. Um, just absolutely incredible. There's just so, like, something about it really resonated with me. Um, so
So,
I don't know why I'm willing to give theater more of a chance than film. Um,
so, can I
I don't
ask
know.
a sort of a flip
Yeah.
question there? Because I think this is an important a point. How do theater companies, how do movie companies, how do producers of music sell in 2025? Because we are all quick to judge now, right? There are probably people who will still not see the Minecraft movie because they're like, it's Minecraft and I just don't know what it is. But with everything being turned out the way that it's being turned out right now, with the, as you even said, trailers literally giving away 90% of the show in the
Yeah.
trailer, how do movie companies overcome this? Because people might be watching and going, I want to go see something, but I feel like I've just watched the entire movie in that 2 minute video, like the new Thunderbolts movie, right? The Thunderbolts Asterix movie that Marvel's coming out. I look at it and I go, I kind of feel like I've seen the whole movie and I've only seen two trailers that are 2.5 minutes long. Things are funny, people are laughing, a big explosion's going to happen, and that's a Marvel movie. How do companies get away from spoiling too much and sort of driving people into the world of their product?
Uh, that's hard because like you want to let people know what the thing's about,
Yeah,
but with the trailers, I'm finding, especially with horror, all of the big jump scares are in the trailer. Like if
yeah,
I'm gonna watch a horror movie, I don't want to know where all these scares are. I don't. If you're gonna have jump scares, don't put them in the trailer. Like, what's the point at that point? Like, I think that we're so. I don't know. I don't know the solution. I know that the way you get your movie popular these days or get your musical or your TV show or whatever, you basically have to go viral
yeah,
on TikTok. Like the Notebooks, the only reason we considered the Notebook was because there was a song that went viral on TikTok that we listened to and we went, "Oh, that's actually really brilliant." Ingrid Michaelson did a really great job with this one specific song. So we went in going, even if we hate the whole thing, at least we know one song we really liked that we thought was incredible. And like with this, it's like it's going viral on the internet for teenagers ruining the movie that now folks are who are curious, like, "Oh, why are they ruining the movie? Let me go pay for this." Or, "Oh, I want to go ruin the movie because I think it's funny and I can make a meme and I can be on TikTok and I can get my 15 seconds of fame when my clip maybe pops up on Fox News while people are going, 'This is so bad. Look at the young people." Like it's it's just I don't know if there's a good solution. I think that trailers these days they might be even too long. Like we don't need a 2.5 minute trailer because then at that point you're putting in the entire movie.
yeah. And you're giving away most of the content because,
Yeah,
like we even saw with the last, and I keep on harkening back to the Marvel movies, but it seems to be the only thing that we watch right now in the world because that's what's coming out over and over again.
yeah.
But the last Captain America and Winter Falcon, or Captain America: Brave New World with Mackie and Harrison Ford, like kind of spoiled the entire movie while you were watching and you're like, oh, okay. So he turns into the Hulk, Red Hulk, blah, blah, blah. This all happens. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, maybe I don't need to see it once it comes out in theaters. Maybe I can wait till it's on Disney Plus, which I have a subscription for. So I agree with that. The one movie, and you did not ask me, so I'm going to tell you the one thing that I
Well, you did.
judged. We joke.
Wow.
We joke because we care on this show. The one movie, and you're gonna kind of throw me under the bus because I said I hadn't seen it, and you told me I should see it, and I watched it. Hereditary. Watch the trailer. Did not like it. You told me to go watch it. I would give it probably about an 8 out of 10, and that's just me being me right now. So yes, I
For you,
judge
that's
books.
good.
I that's huge. Okay, I'm
That's
usually
big. Normally, I say go watch this movie, and you come back and you're like, "That was awful. Why would you
that was
ever recommend that to me? That was terrible." And I'm like, I really liked it."
It is true. It is true, people who are watching this, that Michael and I's opinions on movies are not always the
Oh,
closest. And usually his husband and my husband are reversed. So if his husband likes something, I usually like it. If my husband likes something, Mike usually likes it. So that shows you who we married. I want to turn to the next segment because I'm cautious of time. And it is that time of year when TV networks play a little game I like to call Renew or Doom. That's right, some shows are getting the green light for another season while others are getting that dreaded axe. But honestly, some of these decisions are questionable at best. Grey's Anatomy picked up for another season. Disney
why?
Plus's Andor season 2 canceled. Amazon's The Boys canceled. While Euphoria renewed. And let's not forget those series that keep on coming back somehow. The Bachelor, Dancing with the Stars, Hell's Kitchen, The Simpsons, and going. You know, the ones that peaked 5 seasons ago, if not peaked in their very first season and are still being dragged across the finish line. Mike, are there shows this year that you have seen either being canceled or renewed that have your head scratching, or are there shows that were canceled way too soon that have your head scratching?
Um, I I've not been watching much TV. I'm actually shocked to hear The Boys is canceled. I really would not have predicted that. Also, Euphoria has been renewed and not gone anywhere for a number of years now. So, are we ever going to actually get season three? I would like to know. I liked the show a lot. Um, but I one that really sticks out with cancellation is Sense8 on Netflix. They canceled it because it was allegedly not bringing in money, and it was expensive to film, and it was like 10 million an episode or something
Yeah.
wild like that. I loved the show. I thought it was brilliant. I feel like with Netflix, you see a lot of early cancellations. There was the Drew Barrymore one where she was the zombie. I can't remember the name of it right now,
Santa
but that
Clara
one got
Diet.
the Santa Clarita Diet. Thank you. Like that one canceled on a cliffhanger, made no sense. The OA canceled on a cliffhanger out of nowhere. It was a planned 5 season arc. Um,
Well, just
but
on
then
that
like,
note, just on that note, I just want to just put this out there because
yeah,
one of the shows that was canceled this year, and I literally started watching it because I thought it was gonna last for some time, was the Apple TV show Mystic Quest, which stars Rob McElhenney from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He partners with Ryan Reynolds from the Wrexham soccer group in England. His show Mystic Quest, in its fourth season, literally started airing its fourth season. Apple TV came out and said, we're canceling your show as it started to air. And then he and the writer said, okay, we ended season 4 on a cliffhanger. What we're going to do is we're going to put our money in and we're going to go back and reshoot the final episode so we can wrap everything up into a nice little bow because we don't want to end on a cliffhanger. We want to give our
yeah,
fans, which I would say I'm a fan now because again, going back to our first story, I judged a book by its cover because I didn't know who Rob McElhenney was. And I was like, maybe it's not the best, but I find it quite good. It's about a company that produces a video game in the same vein of like World of Warcraft, for those who might know that.
sure.
And it's a really good show, but I'm so happy that they've said, okay, We know we're canceled. We're going to go back and try to wrap it all up in that final episode. I'm just a little cautious about that because I'm concerned that what they're going to do is they're going to wrap it up and it's going to be a dud to end because they're going to feel like they have to fit it all in 45 minutes and go, okay, how do we wrap this up? Which we thought we were going to have a full season. So I agree with you. Continue on. I apologize for interrupting.
No, you're fine. Sense8 did that. It got canceled on a cliffhanger, and everyone's like, "You are not about to cancel the show right there." And so they ended up coming back and they did a 2.5 hour movie finale, and you could tell there was things for where they needed the show to end because they had planned 5 seasons. There was a
Yeah.
5 season arc for that, and you could tell there was things they had to have in the movie to make their finale, like the whole thing, end and make sense. So stuff popped up, and you're like, "Well, hold on a second. I'm now confused." And you clearly knew they were going to explore this and couldn't. I feel like when channels purchase a TV show that is a set number of seasons, like Abbott Elementary, love that show. Hope it doesn't go anywhere. Schitt's Creek, loved it. Sad that it canceled. Like those are shows that you could cancel on a drop of a hat because they don't really do a cliffhanger. It's more of like a it's more like individualized each episode. Like yes, there's some arcing story, but it's very individualized. With something like that, like Yellow Jackets is on TV now that I'm fearful to like. I saw the first season and I loved it. I'm waiting to see if it actually gets all 5 of their planned seasons taken care of, and then I will finish it because I'm so worried about starting a show that is going to get canceled when it's a planned story. I feel like if you're gonna buy a planned, like we have this many seasons and then we're gonna be done, you have to just say we're gonna do the whole thing. That's how I feel.
I am going to be very uh interested in something that you just said. So you just mentioned a CBC show, Schitt's Creek. Now, this is being aired on TV, and I would love to know what they're going to do with that because that is there's two meanings to the word of SCHITT, which is the name of the town of the in the show, but it can also come across as a nasty language. So it'd be interesting to see if the producers of the show have to put in the title while we say Schitt's Creek from CBC. So that will be interesting to watch. That's my little plug there. But I want to go back to something that we talked that was originally brought up, and that is the shows that have gone on too long. And I
Oh,
mentioned one, and you introduced it literally as I said it, and that is Grey's Anatomy. Now, I did not realize that this show is coming up to its almost like 20th season on air. And I remember when this came out, which I guess 20 years ago, when it was Patrick Patrick Dempsey, Dempster.
Patrick Dempsey. Oh my God. Patrick
There,
Dumpy?
he was on a show, wasn't he? He was on Elf. No, he wasn't. Anyway, this that tells you where my mind is these days. And then you had Eric Dane, who was there was McDreamy, and now I watch it and I feel like I don't even know who half the characters are because when I originally watched it in season one, because it was the new show, I was like, oh, this is great. Now it's like, who are all these people? And the person who is literally Grey's Anatomy, who literally the main character, Meredith Grey, is on the show but not on the show. And she came out recently and said, "I'm just on the show just to make sure that people still have a job." I'm like, well, that's nice, but maybe you have
Yeah.
jumped the shark about 9 seasons ago. Are there shows that you've seen? And I mentioned a few that I'm not a fan of: Dancing with the Stars, Hell's Kitchen, The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, The Bachelor in Paris, A Paradise, that have just gone on way too long. But I understand that it's cheap TV to make, so it's easy to produce them, put them out, and then go from there. Are there shows that you've seen or are on TV right now that should be canceled and give it that dreaded axe?
RuPaul's Drag Race should be done. It's it's run its course. I also find a
Which
lot of
version are you
times
talking about? The All Stars, the Global, the Versus the World, the RuPaul regular?
all of it, just close it all down. No, I find with reality shows they're so easy to produce. People
Yeah.
watch them. It's something people love. Survivor, that's been on 950 seasons, and like Big Brother every summer. It's my parents every summer without fail. That's their show that they watch. That's their like people have a lot of joy for reality shows that they do extremely well because it's like, oh, we can get invested in these people and like we can get invested in this game and this storyline and it's long form game telling. It's the procedurals that a lot of times they're easy to produce, they're easy to write. They have a formula once they nail the formula down. I mean, like 23 minutes and 30 seconds into a Criminal Minds episode, they say the very iconic line, I think it's time to deliver the profile. Like without fail, it's within the 20-minute to 25-minute mark, usually about halfway between that mark. But it always comes at that point. Procedural, people are like them. They're easy to watch. You don't have to watch an entire season. You can just say, oops, I've missed 3 episodes of Criminal Minds, but I love the show. Let me turn it on. Click. Oh, good. I don't need to have thought about what happened in previous episodes. It's just there. Very rarely do procedurals even do multi-episode arcs. Just because of that. It was the same with the CW shows with the superhero ones. They also were going on and on and on forever. And sometimes it's just it's too much. Like with procedurals, like Law and Order SVU. I hope Olivia Benson's on TV forever, but I also hope she gets canceled because we need something new. Like
Yeah.
it's stagnating ideas and it's stagnating television to the point where it feels like nothing new or groundbreaking or fresh can have a chance because all of these other shows are on TV. Or you get folks just going back and rewatching procedurals or sitcoms that they like The Office. So then things like The OA, Sense8, The Magicians, which was on Sci-Fi, which I love. They're not giving them a chance, even though they're really brilliant and a little artistic in their approach, which I find a lot of folks don't look for TV or film for their artistic approach to things. They just want something they can shut their brain off, which is totally fine. I get it. I live in the world right now and it's a nightmare, so I fully get it.
Well, I just want to pick up on that the superhero CW cliche that we talked
Yeah.
about because Ricardo and I, my husband and I, have been watching CSI, the original CSI that came out in the early
Yeah.
1990s. And there's a moment in the series that you can tell when it jumps the shark. And I'm not saying that it jumps the shark badly, but the moment when you have to start watching CSI, then CSI Miami, then following it through to CSI New York, and then potentially when they introduced CSI Cyber, when you had to start doing that, it became a sort of not an enjoyable watch. It became a need to watch. And then it's like, okay, now I have to sit down at 8 o'clock on Tuesday afternoon and watch this because if I miss this episode, then I won't understand what's going to happen in the CSI episode that I want to watch. So I think, and this is just my own personal view of what's going on in the TV industry today, there's not much of that going on anymore. Even with Law and Order, I think there's a crossover episode that's coming up on Law and Order, like I think it's the 29th or 27th season, but it's a one-off. They're not doing it every season anymore because they understand that people don't have the bandwidth.
Yeah.
Plus, there's no how do I say this correctly? There's no feelings to say, okay, I need to watch this anymore. Okay, it's a two-parter episode. I have to watch another season. I'm just gonna skip this week because, like you said, the procedural shows are gonna go back to their regular scheduled 25 minutes in. We need to give the profile or 25 minutes in. Oh, we now know who the big bad guy is, or if it's a celebrity guest star that
Yeah.
week, we know who the big bad guy is that week.
Yeah.
Um, there is one show that has changed that though, and that was the Yellowstone sort of show because they had Yellowstone. There was
Oh
I think
yeah.
it was like 1886 or 1887 or 1867, and then there was the 19 something. There's three different versions of it, and then you had to connect them all to understand the family dynamic. And that's when Kevin Costner was like, okay, I think I'm going to walk away from that. That plus a few other issues that he had going on for with himself with his movies that did not do well. So are TV shows just becoming more linear now and more procedural rather than more open-ended and try to capture people to go over to other shows?
I think that they are becoming more of that procedural style, more formulaic. It's listen, soap operas work. And Law and Order SVU is a crime soap opera. CSI is a forensics team soap opera. Criminal Minds is a soap opera about the like people don't they're like no, they're not. No, they are soap operas. Like
Yeah.
there's a very 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 loose story so that you can pick up whenever you need to, but like you're invested in the characters. you're not necessarily invested in what's going on. And that's not a bad thing. That's a definite approach. But then shows like Yellow Jackets that it's more high. You're yes, you care about the characters, but there's a story. Game of Thrones, there's a story. Like very rarely does something with a that is more story driven than character driven gets that full season beginning to end. I mean, even with Game of Thrones, they wanted more, they needed more seasons and they could have ended it a season earlier. And so like that's where Game of Thrones started to jump the shark. But a lot of times once the main characters are leaving and being replaced is typically when you start to see the um the show move in that more soap opera direction. Uh, Glee had a really great opportunity where it could have been something more on that artistic comedy side while being a soap opera. But they just were unwilling to really commit to like getting rid of characters as consistently. If from the beginning they had set that up that like every season kids are going to graduate, the only consistent people you're going to see is going to be Matt Morrison as the teacher and Sue Sylvester as the principal and what's her name as the guidance counselor and the gym coach. Those are the four
Yeah.
main characters. The kids are great and we get invested in their lives for the 1 to 4 years they're at that school in the Glee Club, and that's it. Like we were unwilling to let go of these characters after the 3 years we'd watched them because we had not been set up for graduation with these kids. And I think that that's where if you're going to do something like that and you want to keep it fresh and keep it long term, you have to be willing to get rid. You have to be willing to sacrifice people. Plot armor's a thing.
Well, and just on that Glee, and there's another character that you forgot, and that's Brad, the piano player. He was in every episode for some reason, but he never got a line. He just played the piano in the music
No,
room.
he did get one line.
Oh, that's right. I'm done, or something like that. He basically was upset because he
He
had to
came
know
in and he
all.
screamed. He's like,
Yeah.
"You all just say hit it and expect me to know what I'm singing."
Um, I remember when Glee originally came out, they did say that they wanted to do that. They wanted to basically, and I hate to say it this way, but like kill off like characters as they graduate, right? Like they graduate through and they move on. So they tried to do that, but then things went sideways and people started to like characters and some people like dislike characters. So it's interesting. There is one thing I just want to mention before we turn to the next subject, and that is Yellow Jackets. I just checked. Season 3 has been renewed at Showtime, so it is getting a third season. Let's see if it does follow through and get those final 2 seasons that I think the
Well,
producers or the writer or the sort of the creator of the show wanted to do 5 seasons, and 5 seasons is enough, in my opinion. It is enough.
oh, I agree. 5 to 6 is like a very solid. That's why Schitt's Creek stopped at 6
Yeah,
because they wanted to make sure they got everything they wanted to say done, and it didn't go into that realm of like, okay, now this is a slog to watch. Like Modern Family, that's what happened to them. It became a slog to watch
yeah,
it, and it was like this used to be fun and joyful, and now it's just gone on too long.
yeah. Like Grey's Anatomy, but then I'll just keep on saying that till the day is done. We'll
Correct.
turn to the next segment, and that is the 2025 JUNO Awards held on March 30th at the Vancouver Rogers Arena. Celebrated a vibrant year in Canadian music with standout performances, historic wins, and bold statements. The night kicked off with Michael Bublé returning as host with a heartfelt tribute to his hometown of Vancouver and a poignant message regarding U.S. President Donald Trump's comments about the 51st state, which we will never be. But major winners throughout the night were Tate McRae, emerged as the evening's top winner, securing 4 awards, including Album of the Year for Think Later and Single of the Year for X's. Snotty Nose Rez Kids, the Hazla Nation hip hop duo, made history by winning Rap Album of the Year for Red Future, marking the first time Indigenous artists have won in the category of rap. Now, Anne Murray received the Lifetime Achievement Award presented by Sarah McLachlan and captivated the audience in a bedazzled, I say, Canadian jersey. Mike, Canadian music is a major factor in Canada, as you can imagine. As an American, prior to this episode, did you know about the Junos and did you do any research on any of these great Canadian artists besides Beyonce winning?
Um, I I have a really hard time listening to music, I find lately. I find that like I just unless I can sit there like full silence and like really absorb what's going on and listen to it, I'm not listening to music. It's just on in the background.
Yeah.
And I have not had the chance to listen to a lot of these artists. A lot of these artists I don't know. I'm just in looking at and doing research. I went, oh, hey, look, Beyonce won a couple of things. And that was the extent. And then I went, oh, hey, look, Sabrina Carpenter won a couple of things, except it wasn't even her. It was her producer, her engineer or something. I
But you
do
know
like
who
that.
Anne Murray is, though, right?
I do not.
You don't know who Anne Murray is? Snowbird?
No, what is it? What? Oh, I know that song.
Yeah, that's like her most famous Canadian song, well, American song, because she's born and raised in Nova Scotia, moved to the States. Well, not moved to the States, but started producing music in the States. And the music industry in the States said, no, we want you to move to America. And she goes, no, I'm always going to be Canadian. I'm a Canadian first. So she was the sort of the antithesis of what Canadian artists don't do. They don't move to the States
Good.
and then become sort of known quantities in America. She was like, no, I'm going to stay home. And that's why she wore that bedazzled Canadian jersey, which mwah, spectacular, mwah,
I saw that.
magnificent. It was awesome. There are two things I do want to mention, and we're not going to stick too much on this,
Yeah.
but there's two things I do want to mention. So, back in the early, I would say late 1990s, early 2000s, the punk rock group Sum 41, which I think most people know who Sum 41 is, was
Yes.
inducted into the Canadian Music Hall of Fame during the night and performed their final set following their farewell tour that ended in Vancouver. They are officially done. They're no longer touring as a band. I think they're going to do some solo music, but I'm pretty sure that's what Matchbox 20 said a few years ago. And then Rob Thomas said, oh, wait, even if I go off by myself, people are still going to accuse me of being Matchbox 20. So I'm not sure if this is truly the final farewell show, but it sounds like it, but I will believe it when I'm 6 feet underground and they do not perform anytime between now and then. The other notable award that was handed out was for Sarah Harmer, of the notable songs like Don't Get Your Back Up and You Were Here, received the Humanitarian Award for Environmental Advocacy.
I love that.
This is the thing about the Juno Awards that is very much different than the Grammys, because while we do name our awards as like the Kojiko Award for Best Album, they're like the Grammys don't do that. The Junos, like we do have sponsorship for our awards, but we also hand out sort of lifetime achievement awards, get the Canadian Walk of Fame, and then the Humanitarian Award. Do the Grammys do that type of recognition during their award ceremonies? Because I can't remember this year if they actually said we'd like to acknowledge singer X for all their work that they've done for just putting this out there. And please don't think that I'm not picking on them, but for animal rights. Do they do that or no? Is it more sort of an afterthought and it's only solely focused on the music?
It's really solely if they're going to do a lifetime achievement award, especially in the US, it's not really for like, oh, hey, you actually did something besides your one specific industry, like to better the world. It's like, oh, hey, you're a big name that you never, and it's a lot of times you're a big name who's never won this award, so we're going to give you an award so that we can say you've won one and people can leave us alone. And it's a lot, it's very much feels like that. It's like that, oh, you're a legend and you've won nothing, so let's give you something.
Yeah.
Um, which is fine. It's also, I think there's a world and a universe for that. But I think that like lifetime, like what are you doing to better the community, the community, the world, the universe, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, no, I would agree wholeheartedly on that. So I want to just end on one last question. It's a simple question. Who's your favorite Canadian artist there, Mike?
Celine Dion.
There you go. There you go. I was wondering if you were going to say her, and I would agree wholeheartedly. She is a powerhouse, and she always, always, always is mentioned or thought about during the Juno Awards because she has racked up enough Juno Awards probably to sink the Titanic that she sang about. So there's my little plug
Did you
there.
know she was on it?
What, the Titanic? No, really?
That's the plot of Titanic, the musical that's closing right now. It is the story of the Titanic told by Celine Dion, who was there.
But it's going to the West End now. So
It's
it's
yeah,
it's
it won a bunch of Olivier awards too. So I'm like they're closing it on Broadway right now and I'm devastated. I'm hoping like I hope they bring it to Broadway and I also hope they do not because if they bring it to Broadway I'm worried it's not going to do as well because it really just thrives with a smaller audience.
yeah.
But I also hope they bring it because like I just want to see it. I need to set sail on the ship of dreams one more time before it closes.
Okay, speaking of Broadway, let's head there because before the curtain closes on today's episode, we're shifting gears from screen to stage. That's right, we're heading back to Broadway. Whether you're a diehard fan, theater buff, or just someone who loves a good show tune, now and then there's always something magical going on at Broadway. Mike, next episode we'll certainly be diving into the shows, the diving into the 78th Tony Award nominations that will be released on May 1st. But,
Yep.
and we're going to talk about that a little bit because they've released the list of sort of the eligible shows that are up for nomination. But is there anything coming up this year that you're excited to see on Broadway?
Okay, I'm trash. I'm gonna say that from the beginning. Mamma Mia is making its triumphant return
What?
to the Winter Garden Theater. We are very excited, and by we, I mean me. Jonathan told me absolutely not will I be seeing that show. It is the original. It is an original concept too. The one that's been touring around. They said, let's just go back to Broadway. Why not? And I said, yes, please. Thank you so much. May I have it some more? Um, in a non-trash version of myself, I really need to see Purpose by Brandon Jacob Jenkins. He wrote Appropriate. I find his work to be really incredible. I want to see John Proctor as the villain, which is starring Sadie Sink of Stranger Things. It is about kind of flipping the script on the Crucible and telling it through the lens of a high school English class and through the lens of like sexual assault and trauma and toxic masculinity. It's an interesting concept, and I've heard so many folks say that they saw this show, they hated plays, they came out and they suddenly liked plays and musicals, and they were more interested in plays. So I want to see the show that is causing folks to suddenly love plays and not just musicals. And I also need to see the Pirates of Penzance musical, Pirates, the Penzance musical, starring Jinx Monsoon, Ramin Karimloo.
David
It's
Hyde Pierce?
just David Hyde Pierce. I couldn't think of his name. Like
Look
brilliant,
at
brilliant,
me
brilliant
knowing more
show.
about Broadway than you. You're supposed to be the Broadway star on this show.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take a Broadway star if you want me to be a Broadway star. I'll do it. I'll do it. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's coming, and with Broadway, it's suddenly out of nowhere they'll drop a show and be like, "Hey,
Yeah.
surprise, it's here." I'm curious because Cats the Jellicle Ball has been teasing a lot on social media lately. I'm waiting to see if that pops up, in which case I may need to go to the Jellicle Ball again. Because I loved that interpretation of Cats, and I love Cats, but there's a lot of stuff that's like with especially with theater with the Broadway world, like you don't know what's going to happen until like 2 months before they'll announce and be like, surprise, it's here. And I'll go, okay, I gotta go see it.
So there's a few things that I want to talk about, and that is one,
Yeah.
and it's been one that we've been talking about for a few episodes now, and even in our post pre iteration of this show with just No Not Them, and that is Smash, and it is opened, if I'm not mistaken, or opening the weekend
Opened.
that we are record. Okay, it is open. That's why I had to make sure I said it slow enough so Michael could correct me. What have you heard? Any good, bad, indifferent? Is it getting trashed in the reviews?
Oh
Badly?
yeah, it's yeah.
Like how so?
Yeah. It is getting critically panned. Like they don't like anything about it for the most part.
But so there's okay, so we always judge about we don't judge a book by its cover, but we often do. While the critics are panning it, are audience loving it, or is it just universally panned across the board?
I mean, there's a couple of reviews that have like enjoyed it, but for the most part, a lot of the fans are like, not really what,
Yeah.
not it's not really for me.
So for
It's
those who are listening, and I just need to clarify this before we continue on. For those who are listening, Smash is a Broadway show which is based on the TV show, the NBC TV show that lasted 2 seasons. That was produced by Steven Spielberg. It was on right at the hype of what when Glee was on, and it's about a the production of a show based on Marilyn Monroe's life called Bombshell. And it is, well, the TV show starred Deborah Messing, Angelica Houston. I'm just blanking on the gentleman's name that was the partner of Deborah Messing, but I can't. He's a Broadway show star as well. And then Catherine McPhee, American Idol winner, who is married to David. Oh, I forget his last name, who's a Canadian, and Megan Till, no, not Megan Tilly, Megan
Hilty.
Hilty. She is well known on Broadway. So it was a lot of Broadway stars. And when they announced that it was going to be moved to Broadway, there was some concern if it wasn't going to stick close to source material. And it sounds like it's being universally panned. So I just need to clarify that for those who don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah, it's getting like a lot of the issues people are having with it are the plot and the characters and like that sort of thing. They like the musical numbers. So I guess it's more mixed than panned because they do like the music, but like that's great. The music's great. There's some comedic timing, but like the characters and the plot are what the biggest issues are. And for folks,
Yeah.
that's kind of a big red flag. And there's a lot of the internet's not the fans are not as loving either. It's just if it doesn't get a Tony nomination, it's probably done for.
Like next year, because if it just opened up now, the nominations are coming out in May 1st, which is by the time people watch this or have watched it, the nominations will be out. Does it get potentially put into this year's rotation, or
Yes, it
is it
does.
out?
It's May
Okay.
1st is the cutoff, I believe.
Okay, because so the list of so let's talk about the 78 Tony Awards for a second. First off, hosted by Cynthia Erivo, who is known for The Color Purple, but also just recently as Elphaba from the movie Wicked. Are you hopeful that Cynthia will do a great job?
Yes, I know she
How
will.
will she? Will they?
Yeah, she's great. Cynthia's great. Cynthia will do a phenomenal job. Darling of Broadway, and like especially when you get someone like a Sean Hayes or Neil Patrick Harris, someone who just kind of loves Broadway and isn't like a talk show host on a TV, you get a higher caliber because they can do more. Like we all love, Seth MacFarlane, and where did that name come from? He's not a late night talk show host. Conan, like we love Conan, we love Jimmy Kimmel, we love Jimmy Fallon, we love all these people, James Corden. But like when you're looking at the host for the Tonys, the opening number, if it's not like this big box office number, it folks get kind of frustrated, and I think she will do it. Um, Ariana DeBose, did a great job of hosting. I think she did 2 years in a row. Folks don't like her, and I think that's where a lot of the issues were. But if you take her out of it and look at it as an individual piece, they're fantastic opening numbers.
Yeah.
If she just wasn't Ariana DeBose, I think people would have been much happier with the entire journey um,
So
regarding those numbers.
I've been on a kick right now. I don't know why, but I've been listening to a lot of Broadway musicals. I think we talked about it an episode ago or 2 episodes ago. But I've been watching Tony's preparing for what our conversation is going to be like next month because I'm assuming this is going to dominate our conversation because I know you and I know me. But the
Well,
one that I kind of have newfound respect, and I think their ability to play off each other was quite well. I think it was last year or the year before, when Josh Groban and Sarah Bareilles hosted together, and their opening number, this one's for the losers, was hilarious. It was catchy, and I find myself every morning when I wake up and I'm going into my office, I play that song because I'm like, yeah, this one is for the losers because no matter what, I can be as great as I want to be, but unless you get recognized, you're just there filling a seat. So I think you're right in that sense that you need to have someone who comes from the Broadway, not someone who is a name Broadway, or the name that people think are going to tune in.
yeah, and like I get it. For a while, they were trying to do the like, well, if they watch this, then they'll watch the talk show because they like the host. Nobody, no, that's not how that works. And
Yeah.
like Neil Patrick Harris, he did Bigger a couple of years ago, and that's probably the greatest Broadway opening. And that is he was a Broadway. he is still a Broadway person. Like he does Broadway regularly. He does theater. He's actively engaged in that. Like that is the greatest opening number of any award show of all time, and I will die on that hill.
No, I think that's the one where he does the close up and says, "See, we don't have to do an extreme close up to
Yes.
prove that we're singing live 7 days a week." Yes, I'll agree with on that one. There is one person who has been speculated that he could get a Tony Award this year, a Tony nomination this year, and that is our friend and great. He's won an Oscar, Mr. George Clooney, for Good Night, Good Luck, and his dyed, dyed hair. Every time that I see a picture of him now, it is like just, it is horrible how bad that dyed hair looks. Like if there was a category for makeup and hairstyling, that they should not win that award because it is horrible. Um, have you seen Good Night, Good Luck? And are you expecting it to potentially get a nomination for George Clooney, or are you expecting George Clooney just to get it because they usually try to like bring in some A-list celebrities, even if he might be a B-list celebrity?
Well, I cannot afford to get into it. Tickets for
Oh,
nosebleeds are
is
like
it that bad?
it's like a $300 average ticket price.
Why is that?
Um,
Because of him?
yes. And it's selling the Winter Garden, which is wild to me that a play is in the Winter Garden, which is a massive theater, and is selling to the point where they have that price point on tickets. Othello, like the average ticket price for that is like $500 for Denzel and Jake Gyllenhaal. And like I get the stunt cast, I get the whole thing of it, and like I'm happy people are excited to see these plays, but like I can't afford that. And like folks that are paying that price just to see this one specific celebrity is what's causing issues with Broadway and getting into shows because now shows think, oh, well, if I put like George Clooney in a show or if I put like Selma Hayek in a show, then it's going to be the best thing ever. And a lot of times these movie people, they do one show and then they never come back to. Emma Stone's said famously, it is the hardest thing she has ever had to do. Broadway as a whole, like she was in Cabaret as Sally Bowles for almost a year, and she said it is the hardest thing she's ever had to do because you're there eight performances a week, nonstop. You can't mess up. You have to be emotionally in it, and if you're not, you get some young twink on the internet, me probably, saying that you phoned it in because it was the one performance I saw. Like it's hard. And a lot of times film actors, they don't realize that until they go to do it. Danielle Brooks, she did a lot of TV, and you can tell with Orange is the New Black when she went from being a really okay actress on that show to being like the star and one of the best actresses they had because she did The Color Purple and she got that training. It is boot camp. Like if you want to go to like military style boot camp for acting, do a show 8 nights a week on Broadway and or in any kind of long form storytelling where you're there for a year every night and you can't take vacations unless you plan them so far in advance. And a lot of times with stars, if your name's above the title, you like can't take a vacation. So sometimes you go till like, if you get sick, people on the internet get mad at you. Like it's like a thing.
So before I have one last area I want to talk about, one last show
Yeah.
that I want to talk about because I think it might get nominated. For those who don't know, Good Night and Good Luck is based on the movie which George Clooney was in, based on
Yeah.
Edward R. Murrow's life about sort of the news industry at a certain time, and I think it was the 50s or the 60s. Like, it might be earlier than that, so it might have been during the McCarthy, the Red Scare era. So just making sure people understand that. But there is one that I want to just sort of quickly ask you because I'm cautious of time here. And I've been hearing good things, and it's Redwood, and Idina Menzel is in it. She plays a mother, if I'm not mistaken. Have you heard anything good about this? And are you expecting this to be potentially nominated?
So I've not really heard anything good. I've heard from a lot of folks and I've heard from the reviews that it's boring and confusing.
Okay.
Um, it's probably, I would be shocked if she doesn't get nominated just because she's Idina Menzel. Um, but there's also a lot of folks this season, a lot of big names, and there's only 5 slots in that Best Actress category, and you can't just have it be all legends, especially when Jasmine is killing it and Boop the musical right now. Um, I'm curious what happens with that show if it gets anything. It's just a concept that it might be too niche for a Broadway house. It might do better with like if it was off Broadway. And I get that Broadway used to be the thing, but at this point, Manhattan should be the thing. Like if you make it to Manhattan, you're good. Like you don't need to be on Broadway. Little Shop of Horrors has been thriving off Broadway. Like Titanic has been thriving off Broadway for almost 3 years. It's been running, and it was supposed to only run for 12 weeks. And it was so popular they had to move to a different off Broadway theater that had a little bit more seats because the space they were in wanted to put something new in there. So like it's such a cool just to be in New York, I think is a huge thing with your show. But I think that Redwood might just be too small and niche for a big like 500, 600 person house.
It'll be interesting to talk about this later on in
Yeah.
next month. But now we're going to wrap up with a quick recommendation. I'm not sure if Michael has one, but I do. And my recommendation is the 2023 film, which my husband and I saw over the last week, called The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry, about a friend's 960-mile walk through Britain to visit his dying friend at the end of life hospice in northern England. Jim Broadbent on of numerous British films, of the Harry Potter films, stars as Harold Fry, who takes this journey after getting a message from his dying friend in northern Britain, and he begins this journey. I think it is a moving movie, and it is based on a book that was released a few years prior to it. I have not read the book, but I'm trying to find the book at a used bookstore here in Calgary to see how well it stacks up to the original source material, the movie. But if you haven't, check it out. You can rent it on Google Play, Amazon iTunes, or Apple iTunes, or Amazon Prime. Mike, do you have any recommendations?
I do. So I just read a book, Thistlefoot by Jenna Rose Nethercroft. It is about a family who they're kind of they were a traveling puppeteer family in the States, and they kind of splintered and fractured, and they're not really together anymore. And the kids have magic. The parents aren't really in the story, but the kids have magic, and their grandmother passes away, or their great grandmother had passed away a couple like decades ago. And in her will, she said, after 70 years, give the contents of this crate to whoever my youngest surviving relatives are. So they basically inherit the house of this Jewish woman, Baba Yaga, which is a house on chicken legs. And they're being chased by this Russian man who we're not too sure the specifics, who's trying to kill the house. And it deals with like generational trauma, it deals with familial trauma. It was incredible. The characters were wonderful. There was a LGBT love storyline that was very, 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 very light, but like there. And it was just, I have not been so moved by a piece of literature like that in a while. It was wonderfully written, it was wonderfully crafted, and like I had a wonderful experience reading it. I couldn't stop.
I'm gonna have to pick that up and check it out for myself. For those who are watching or listening, be sure to send us your comments, good, bad, or indifferent. We always like to hear from you. And if you have any burning questions about the entertainment industry, please send them to us as well. You can find the links in the show notes or on any website that you are finding this on. Also, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the show on our YouTube channel. Go to Cross Border Network. Mike, it's always a pleasure to sit down with you and talk about the entertainment industry on That's Entertainment with me, Chris Brown, and
Me, Mike Nichols.
until next month, always a pleasure.